little bit of a different episode for She 2.0 because I'm joined by the CEO and founder of the Good Games in Guelph, Ontario this year, Helen Stombos. So Helen is an athlete herself. And Helen has started these games to really bring back the transformative power of sport, and to really like bring community together and create this unique festival. We have so many music festivals. This one is sports. There's even something for your fur friends. But what is really unique about it is the nature of the athletes who are participating from all over the world, by the way. We've got women in their 80s, 70s, 60s, and 50s participating. I'm talking to Helen today about these women and what role they're playing, not just in the sports, but in role modeling and shaping what women should be aspiring to and not hiding from. And I think you're going to find this a really fascinating conversation. You're probably going to be like checking a ton of boxes in your head. And I can guarantee you by the end of it, you're probably going to go sign up for a sport. So tune in while I talk to Helen Stombos from the Good Games. Hey, Helen, how are you?
Good. Hi, Jackie.
Helen Stombos is the CEO and the founder of the Good Games taking place this summer in Guelph, Ontario. Helen, thank you so much for joining me. This is a really unusual sport, not in the sport itself, but in the athletic professional, like the athletes, the professionals, all the talent coming to this game. It's pretty mind-blowing, especially for someone like me who can barely walk up the stairs without losing my breath.
Well, I mean, I think it's perfect for somebody like you because I think what the games are basically something for everyone. I think our motto is sport for life, sport for all levels. So, there's two parts of the game. There's the sports competition, which includes amateurs to professionals to Olympians. So every level of athlete is represented. And then there's the festival that's for the community and for families. And the very cool thing about our event and festival is one, there's nothing like it in Canada. And it's all sport focused. So, a lot of people go to music festivals and it's all bands and music. If you come to our event, it's sports competitions, which is where you would compete as an athlete, and a festival that's all about activity and being moving. So everything at our festival is focused around getting you moving, getting you active, trying new sports, having fun, or just watching something like watching the Canadian Freestyle Soccer Championships or watching a professional beach volleyball match that we build. By the way, we build a court right in the middle of the festival, a beach volleyball court, and that's where our elite twos play. That's where Olympians, former pros play. So it's pretty cool spectacle, and everything is really focused around sport.
I love that. And I also just like I like the furry part of the festival, the Iron Dog. Seriously, so I can bring my dog, my rogue dog.
Well, because I think so many of us, a lot of our activity is based around our pets, right? Like how many people take their dogs for a walk?
Yeah.
And so Iron Dog is basically a competition where dogs do different challenges. And they're going to show you a showcase of kind of what an Iron Dog competition looks like, but then you're allowed to bring your pets in and try some of those challenges. I think it just adds to the fact that, it really is about getting you moving, getting you active, whether that's walking or doing, like you said, walking up the stairs maybe, or bringing your pet and being active with your pet. It's trying to offer something for everyone. And I think just including even an Iron Dog challenge and a showcase is a perfect example of there's basically something for everyone,
Yeah.
even your furry friends.
Even my furry friend who, yeah, doesn't follow a command. Okay, so I love that this festival is family friendly. I love that it's sport focused, but what we haven't gotten to yet is, for me, what is the super unique part of this festival is the athletes who are partaking. I think before we do the big reveal, it's great because we have families there, which means we have intergenerational, like, we've got like kids and grandparents, whatever. This is a great opportunity to role model that, looking after yourself, being active, pays off, but also it's a really great comment against ageism. So you want to tell me a little bit about our participants?
Sure. I'll speak specifically to one group that I'm super excited to meet, not only because they're soccer players, and I'm a former soccer player, but because they are breaking the barriers of what we believe, you can and can't do at a certain age. And I'm in love with these women. So we opened up a women's soccer. I wasn't going to do women's soccer this year because it's a harder sport to find athletes for
Right.
some reason, especially here in Canada. And so I started talking to a friend of mine in California, and she's very connected in the women's soccer world, got on some calls, and then we decided, yeah, we're going to open up women's soccer. But this is the kicker: women's soccer for over 70, over 65, and over 50. And
Years
we have
old. Add that in.
years old, years old, and I'm like, this is it, and it's amazing because every time I've mentioned this to anybody, I think their jaws drop because everybody says people are still playing. One team that's coming from California, I think 9 of their 14 players are over 75.
Oh my God. That's
And they're and
awesome.
they're and they're like, they're not just coming to, kick a ball around lightly. They're coming to compete. Like when I did a survey I asked all the players, what do you want your length of your halves to be? Thinking as a player myself, at this age, at my age,
Yeah.
53, I'm like, maybe 20, 25 minute halves. They're like 40-minute halves. We're coming to play. And I am completely in awe, but I love the fact, and they're so grateful too, but I'm so grateful. I love the fact that there's these women coming here to show everybody that you don't have to stop playing just because you reach a certain age. And I think this is really opening a lot of eyes to that. And I think it's so important because everyone I've spoken to has spoken to the power of this sport and activity to keep them young and healthy. So why
Yeah.
do we stop? So why do we stop?
Society tells us that we are aging out of careers and physical activity. And yes, as we get older, we might have to adjust our fitness routine or our makeup routine or our healthcare routine, but we don't have to stop. And I
Yeah.
think too, like, my dad is 80. He's very physically active, and he sent me a video of him. I always sit on the kitchen counter at my parents' place when I go home still. And like my dad did a video of him like climbing up on the counter, like pulling himself up on the counter, and he had something in one hand too, which was impressive. And I thought that would not have meant anything to me 20 years ago. But the fact that my dad is 80 and can just pop up onto a kitchen counter, we have no idea until we get like maybe another decade out how challenging that is if those muscle groups are not being worked the way they are always being worked, right? And we are sort of, I think we are subconsciously in our minds thinking, well, we have to slow down. That means do less. We
Yeah.
have to be gentle with our bodies.
Yeah.
And these women are out like
Oh yeah.
kicking ass.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's all perception too. Like I'm a big believer that our minds are so powerful. And so if we keep putting the message in there that we're not able to do it, we're not able to do it.
Yeah.
We just don't. And I think what this is doing is changing people's perception of what we can do, what is available to us, where can we push our bodies? We can do more than we think we can.
Yeah.
I am again, all my books I read is the power of the mind. So this really falls in line with that because I feel like if we keep telling ourselves something, we're going to follow that because your body follows what your mind says. So if our mind is telling us we're not able to, we should slow down, we can't play soccer at that age, they're just showing us. They're going to show us this
Yeah.
summer. Yes, you can. Yes, you
Yeah.
can. And you can still stay lively and vibrant at any age. So it's such a
Yeah.
testament to the power of what we are able to do and how we're so programmed to think that we can't.
So here is like a good example of the mind shift because you and I offline we talk about how our minds work and the power it actually has. And okay, so for example, my dad and I used to ski together all the time downhill, and he's given up skiing. He broke his ankle a couple of years ago, and he quit skiing because, at this age. And then someone said to me, because I had broken my foot 2 years ago, well, you shouldn't be skiing anymore. And my surgeon said that. And I was like, you know
Wow.
what? This is the kind of mentality that we have. And then I look at these women who are participating in this, in soccer, in these really like high profile sports. And I think, somewhere someone is kind of giving them the opportunity to continue playing. They're not
Yes.
taking it away and saying, "Oh, our league ends at 55 years old and there's nothing
Yes.
except now you have to go to the Rotary
Right.
Club."
Right.
Right?
Well, I think that's the biggest problem is the majority of our teams are actually coming from across the United States, anywhere from Hawaii to California to Arizona to Florida. And I think that's because we don't have opportunities here. Right now, I have three teams from Ottawa, one team from Niagara, and one team from this area here at Guelph, Kitchener-Waterloo, but everybody else is coming from the States. It's because I don't think we're offered those opportunities. It just doesn't even what I'm getting every time I mention this, the same response is they still play at that age. But when I speak to these women, it's so normal. So
Yes.
what's the difference? It's
Yeah.
what we're being offered and what we think is available, what we think we can and can't do. Whereas, I mean, I was just speaking to one of our players in California, and it's just not a no-brainer. They have over 60 leagues. Like it's that's just what they do. And she even said during COVID, she said we were all still outside playing every week because we knew how important it was for us to still stay physically active for our health. And I just thought, here I keep getting because I at first I was like, well, how do I find any over 65 or over 70 teams? None. I have no over 65 or 70 teams from Canada. Zero. None. They're all from the States. So what's the difference? We're not any different from a ability perspective. The only difference is what we think we can do and what's been offered to us here. It's just not offered. And
Yeah.
what their perception is there and what's offered to them there. So, but we're the same people, Jackie. We're not different. Like,
Yeah.
my friends in California are no different than me, but it's just that here it's unheard of here. It's
Well,
literally unheard of.
it is unheard of because I remember when I first talked to you about the good games and you told me, is it true? I think you, I have brain fog. You have a one athlete who's over 80?
I have I have 79 and an 80-year-old right now.
Incredible. Like,
I have a few, like, actually, if I look at my registration, there are quite a few late 70s, quite a few, and they're coming from, like they're flying in from, like, San Diego and Sacramento and Arizona. I mean, I'm like, they're coming from all over the state, so they're it's honestly, I'm so in awe, and
yeah,
I cannot wait. I'm so excited to meet them.
I'm I'm in awe, but I'm inspired and I have another feeling about it that I don't know how to explain. Um, I feel duped. Like I do. I feel duped because when I think about what I just told you about my dad and not skiing anymore and giving up these things, and society basically making us society, the media telling us basically, you got to change now. Go over to
Yeah.
knitting. Go do like the softer, gentler, low impact sports. But that's because of our bone density. And as women, as we age, our bone density decreases. And the only way to keep our bone density up is with resistance training,
Yes.
weights, working out. But we tell women that now, but we didn't used to. So we were just like, oh, it is what it is, just like everything around midlife for women. And so, of course, we can't play sports because our bone density is going down and we're breaking bones all the time and we're osteoarthritic. Now, these women, this is probably not even an issue for them because they've never let their bone density decrease. Like, these
Right?
are really smart lessons that women need to hear.
And it's so good. I'm so grateful that we're offering this event.
Yeah,
And I'll also say our walking soccer is also so far the majority of the athletes are in their 60s and 70s so far. And
yeah,
I feel like even just staying, having opportunities to still be active as you get older. And I think that's the love of what this event is for me, because it is catered to all ages, and over 2025, some sports over 30, some sports over 50. And I think that it's trying to change that perception in people's minds of what our bodies are able to do at certain ages. Even
yeah.
for me, I have a bum knee, right? So I can't go on a soccer field because I just can't turn, but I can still play sport, and I still play volleyball, and I still play pickleball, and I still love to be active. Oh yeah, pickleball's
Why
great.
aren't we playing? I have a pickleball set right to my
Oh
left,
my God.
and
Okay,
I
next
played
time I'm
all.
here.
Yes.
Yes.
And when this is healed, I play volleyball all the
Oh
time.
no way. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
but I think, we do definitely get so much information driven into us that, oh yeah, oh, you can't do that. Oh,
Yeah.
And it's the most important thing we can do it in from so many aspects. And, I've been doing interviews with some of our athletes, and it's not just the physical part, and if anybody knows my story too, it's the mental part. Like it's the social mental, being around active people, that social environment that really helps your mental health.
Yeah.
It's so much more than just being physical. It's everything that sport encompasses. And I think that when we take ourselves away from it, if that's our love and our passion, for some people it's arts, culture, music. But for those of us that are athletically driven, it really impacts our mental health. And so it's on so many levels. I feel like that messaging needs to change. And I'm hoping that, people coming and seeing our event, or finding out about it and coming to watch. I want people to come here and just watch the women's soccer competition. Like
Oh my
I
God.
think people need to come and watch it, because I think it's when you see it, they always say we emulate what we see. And so if we're not seeing it, we're just not thinking it's available.
Yes.
It used to be the same with women in sport or women in executive positions. If we didn't see it, we didn't think we were capable of it. I'm a prime example. When I played soccer, everybody in the soccer world were men. So I didn't grow up thinking, oh, I'm gonna finish my soccer career and take a role in soccer in some capacity, because I never saw it. Now you're seeing
Yeah.
it. So I feel like this is the first step, is seeing it and seeing that you're able to do it, and there's people doing it. And then it might start to switch those brain neurons to go, hey, you know what? I want to start a women's league over 60 or over 65. Why
Yeah.
not?
Why not? That raises a really interesting point that women say they feel invisible once they hit around their 40s. That's when you start hearing that. And, it's funny that we say we feel that, because the reality is we are made to feel that way. We don't feel it for no reason. We feel it because all representation of us disappears from film, TV,
Yes.
commercials, social media, and then what replaces us is this old croon, the Golden Girls
Yeah.
style, like you're outdated. We infantilize the way we talk to people, like, hey, dear. Like, we really shift and quickly put women into this category where we are feeble and like we can't do anything. We can't, oh, like helping the old lady cross the street. Well, it's a kind of the same thing as my grandma died when she was in her 102nd year. Um,
Wow.
I know. And my other
Amazing.
grandma was 96. I got some RSPs to buy.
Good.
So,
Good.
but they were both, well, my dad's mom was very able, very like slight, as like she was a slight little person, but she was very able. Like she stayed in her home till she was 99, and she did her laundry and she mowed her lawn with that little push mower, and
Oh
she would
my
get
God.
help when she was 99. She would get help. She started having falls and we put her in a nursing home and bam, she went downhill. And that's
Yep.
because there's no stimulation. I mean, 99, obviously, she was ready to
Sure.
go and she was very vocal about that. But the point is, like, as soon as you put people into an environment with no stimulation or any sort of inspiration, your mind declines and like,
Everything declines. Everything. Like
yeah,
my dad had a fall right basically when he turned 80, and then just didn't want to leave the house after that.
yeah, probably
And
scared him.
everything declined from there. And I could see the mental health decline. I could see the physical
Mhm.
health decline. And I attribute it to a person that was very active. I mean, walking more than I walked every day.
Yeah,
And the shift in that. And we have to keep ourselves stimulated in every way, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I agree with you. There's so much pressure on women, especially to stay looking a certain way. And if, as we get older, we get uncomfortable with that aging. Whereas I don't know if it's the same on the men's side, but definitely on the women's side, there's a lot of pressure for us to, look a certain way, be a certain way. And we just have to start putting aging gracefully and powerfully back into the messaging, right?
yeah, I think aging powerfully is really important because that's not usually a word we use when it comes to women and aging. It's sort of this feeling of acceptance and surrender, and I feel like no, and I don't mean raging against aging, like,
No.
trying to look like a 20-year-old, but it really is about, being your age and acting your age can be strong and powerful. So like when women say, "Oh my God, you're 55. I didn't know you were that old." I'm like, "You think this is old?" Um, like, and what's old about it? What's old
Yeah,
about
you know what? I actually don't like the word old, and I'm having a problem because as we're posting, kind of sharing who's coming to the games, I don't want to say that word. I just want to
Oh,
say a more experienced or more mature. I don't want to attach something that has such a negative connotation to it to
oh
something I think is
yeah.
beautiful and positive.
Yeah,
And I'll be honest, I feel better in my 50s than I felt, you know, when I was younger. I think you just get more comfortable in your skin
you
and
do.
become much more aware of, who you are, and you're okay with, making mistakes. You learn from them instead of being so hard on yourself when you're younger.
Yeah.
So I feel like, the messaging, and I'm hoping that we put a little ding in the universe with this event of aging powerfully. Oh, I love that. I think I'm going to use that. But
That's
it's like taking your power back. It doesn't matter what age you are. Just
yeah.
be powerful in whatever age you are. And I'm getting away from old. I think I'm calling it years young because I feel like that's
Yeah.
more,
Well,
you know,
if you're 79 and playing a soccer game, you're I'm not going to say you're incredible because we're not, like, when we say things like that, it makes it sound like they did something special, right? Well, they did. They ignored society, which is amazing because that's hard to do when it's in your face. But like when you're in your 20s and 30s, kind of like my daughter's 12, girls this age, they want to fit in. They don't want to stand out. I even noticed that when I look back at my 20s and 30s, you follow all the trends and the styles because you want to fit in. But when I hit 40, mid 40s, that's when I was like, screw that. Like, I don't even like that style.
yeah,
So, and then I hit my 50s, and it doesn't happen overnight, like on your 50th birthday, that you develop this new confidence, but you do shed all
you,
of that nonsense. And like at 55, I'll wear what I damn well please. But I don't like with you, the language around this is really important because when I was, reading about these athletes, I wasn't thinking, oh my God, these old women are coming, because that's not what this is. These are powerful women who are older than me showing me, don't lie down and take it, sister. Keep going. Ignore
yeah,
the noise and you do you, because that's what these women clearly did. They put their health first, they put their self-care first, and they put their future first. And so, like, it's not just about being strong enough to play soccer and probably whoop but it's about the fact that, like, if you're playing in a sport, you're like you said, your mental health is better. You're probably having more interesting conversations, right?
yes,
Because you're
yeah,
involved in something, and you're meeting women from different walks of life. Like
yeah,
these women are going to show everyone at these games that this is
yeah,
something we need to aspire to, and we need to have more sports groups, more music groups. We need all of the things that
all of
that
them,
show
all of
us.
them.
We got another, like, we're 55. According to my grandma's, I got another like 45 to go, right? I'm not just gonna sit back and stop skiing and rollerblading because I might break a bone. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm definitely accident prone, but
Yeah, I'll agree with that one. I
yes.
think too, you touched on the social aspect. I mean, here's another cool tidbit is one of the women that's coming to play, I think she's 79, and she's coming to play on a team with players she's never played before. Like
Oh,
she's on a
wow.
team completely new to her. And so this group of women, they travel around and they play in tournaments all over the world. And it's the friendships and the connections, and I absolutely love that. And actually, in the Masters movement, and especially in soccer, this is actually very common. So, like, I remember a group of my friends went to play in the Masters games in Australia, and they said they played a half a team from here, my area, and half a team joined them from Australia, and to play
Oh, wow.
together. And I just think there's something so empowering about just even that. Like, I think about that and I'm like, you're literally getting on a plane, flying 5 hours to come to an event to play with a team you don't even know, with players you might know a little bit, but what a cool experience. And even that fact is so empowering that we think, because people think about even traveling in your 70s. And I remember when my parents were in their 70s and they would go to Greece, I'd be like, oh. are you sure you're okay to travel? And I'm like, what the heck was I thinking? Of course
Well,
they were,
of course they
right?
were, and they were probably more confident traveling than most of us, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and, back to your whole point, when you say you get older, I think I was probably the most insecure in my 30s. Like,
Yeah.
the aging part was the hardest in my 30s, I'd say, because I was like, "Oh my god, I'm not in my 20s anymore." And
Yeah.
now in my 50s, I'm just like, I feel good, and I think I'm so aware of what's available out there as
Yep.
well. And you get to know what's important to you. I remember there were times where I didn't even know what made me happy, like who I was and like what at the core of me made me tick, made me move. And now it's just clear. I feel like I'm so much more listening because the intuition is always there, those little spurts of information that come to you.
Yeah.
But I'm listening to them more.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention to them. Whereas before I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
that's just,
Don't listen to my
your mind
gut.
playing tricks on me, and I'm yeah, that's my gut, and, I remember hearing something that said, it's when we pray, it's us praying to God, and when we get intuition, it's God talking to us, and
Ah,
I thought that was a really cool quote because,
yeah.
like, us praying and speaking to God, our intuition, whether it's God or universe, however you wanna say that,
Yeah.
but those little intuitive moments, I feel like even the games were born out of pure, inspiration from a feeling that made me happy. That's
Yeah.
where they came from. Like, they came from feeling like this is something that's needed in the world. This is something that
Yes.
I think will, really inspire and offer something positive back to the universe and to
Yeah.
people. So
You just make me want to go out and join a team sport. I'm already in my head going, wonder if my friends will let me join their ball hockey league.
do it.
I
Do it.
want to
I've been thinking
do
the same.
something. Yeah.
What's that?
I do want to go out and do something like now. I mean, the weather's getting nicer. We've been inside for
Yep.
months. I do want to do it. Like, I do want to stay active. It drives me crazy
Yeah.
when I am not active for, like, I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
involved in
Yeah.
something. Yeah. And,
And
you
for
know,
me,
have
it's
that
also
collaboration and camaraderie.
100%. I would say, when I went through my darkest period in my life and I had to look on it and figure out why I was in that space. I was in that space because I didn't have sport and that social circle around me. I'd stopped it all for 7 years. And I remember reading this book, and the book, kind of took me on this, the circle of life, and it like all the different categories of like family, social, like health. And it told me to categorize it on a scale of 1 to 10. And I was like a 2. So I was like in a hole in all these aspects.
Yeah,
I
you were.
remember the next day, it was like, what's one thing you can do to make yourself happy? Like one thing. And I sat there and I'm telling you, man, I had to mull that over. I was in such a dark place. And then when I came to the conclusion of what am I missing in my life that makes me happy, it was sport and that social circle of sport. And I decided right then, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do one thing. It made me uncomfortable as anything. Like I had to find a volleyball league to play in. I didn't know anybody in them. I, tried to join and then I found one here in my area. And I swear the universe conspires to make things happen sometimes when you've made those decisions. And the league was full. And she's like, sorry, we're already full. And a week later, I got a call and said, you know what, we one player got removed. Do you want to take her space? And so I ended up making it onto that volleyball league. And I'll tell you, that was probably I call them the TSN turning points in my life, but the TSN turning point, because all of a sudden I was around new, healthy people that were playing sport, that were active. We were all going out, for a bite to eat after, or in a drink after our games. And so that social circle became so important in me getting healthy. And
Yeah.
then they became all my friends. So like my
Yeah.
volleyball friends are my friends. So you just don't realize, and it's different for everyone. And I always say, I don't know if we talk about the transformative power of sport is a lot or enough, because I feel like for people like me, it is what has healed me.
Yep.
And I know it's different. Like sometimes it's art and culture and music, and everybody has that thing in their heart that makes them bubble over. And
Yeah.
that for me was sport. It's just always have. Now I'm playing pickleball. So
Yeah.
that's my sport now.
Okay, well, I'm gonna bring my pickleball set in
Yeah,
and
I love
we'll
it.
play. And then when this is healed, we'll play some volleyball.
That sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too, Helen. I'm so excited. So what is the date for the
So
festival? Can you share that?
Um, So we have the games start July 5th, but the festival's July 6th and 7th. We're starting the 5th with two sports competitions. Women's soccer because they're traveling from all over the United
Yeah.
States, so we're more teams, longer days, more days, and then pickleball because pickleball is just so freaking popular that
Oh,
we
yeah.
have to have more days for pickleball. And then the festival kicks off on the 6th in the morning, and it's I would say it's an experience that everybody that came last year said they'd never been to a festival like ours. The person covered us from CTV said this was the coolest festival she'd ever covered from CTV. So I think it's a very unique experience, free to attend, free parking, and come just, be active and try out new sports or watch some really cool sports being played.
I love this. I love this. I'm so looking forward to it. And I'm really looking forward to actually meeting some of these athletes in person. I think I'm going to have a few of them join me on She 2.0. We're going to do a webinar with a few of them to talk about, how they, like what is their thinking? What sort of mantra do they have? What challenges and hurdles did they have to tackle to get to where they are? I'm sure, when you're over 20, your life does become a series of hurdles and challenges and lessons.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited to hear from them directly and share that with everyone. But Helen, thank you so much. And thank you for putting this game together. Like you said, there's not enough talk about sport and transformation, but really there's also not a lot of exposure given to to women in this sport, but also women who want to carry on and play, and they're not going to listen. They're just going to keep going, and they're going to take us all with them, which I love. So thank you for all your hard work.